Hey friends, welcome back. Block number 7 for our Arabella block of the month. This is going to be an awesome work month for us. We're actually doing some prep work building up to next month's completion month. Also another great time for us all to get caught up. I'm going to walk you through where you all should be, plus give you all the steps you need to know for this month. Are you ready? Let's get stitching. Well, welcome back everybody to Arabella block number 7, our block of the month, and this project is going awesome. And yes, folks, as I was starting to mention in the little intro, this is more of a work month. We're going to be building our part 1 of our 2 parts of our piano keys borders. So I'm going to walk you through all those instructions, but before we get going today, because we don't have a lot to cover for this month, let's just talk about where we should be. I'm going to forget exactly which month what things happened on, but I believe it was around month 4. We got to the part where we had built enough blocks from our center and our other blocks out that we then had the instructions to assemble the center. Since then, we've been working and we've been building our dark light star, our hourglass star, and our patchwork star, which is the one that finishes a little bit smaller. It's around the 10-inch mark versus the 12-inch mark. I think there's ½ inches in there. And again, I'm just kind of giving you the brief overview. Don't take a thing I'm saying totally seriously at the moment, of course. So these are all going to plug and play together as we look at our instructions. So we have this, and we actually have these out here in the corner, and we have this piece here, and we have these pieces, but we need to start building in these awesome piano keys, and we'll work our way into our flying geese units and then be able to come back and put it all together. So we have several more months in our program, and I'm so excited you're all here. And as a matter of fact, if you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe, smash that like button, and make sure you join us every Wednesday for some awesome tutorial. We do love doing our block of the months, but we do all kinds of other videos right here for you all at Stitchin Heaven. So anyways, that's where we're at today, and I'll be working both off of my color diagram and my pattern as we start on this part 1 for our piano keys. But what we're really going to do is we're going to be joining some skinny strips to our wide strips, and next month we're going to be joining some not so skinny strips to the not so wide strips, and that'll get us prepared to be able to do everything we need systematically from the future on. So I'm just like I like to do, I like to keep each month's pages in between my blocks so I can keep them organized as we go. So let's just go ahead and take a moment and tidy up now. And now for today, like I was saying, we are going to be pairing our fabrics and making strip sets. So I've pre-cut and prepared everything but this one. I said we didn't have much sewing to do, but we really should use this month for doing all of the catch-up. So if you haven't done these blocks yet, or if you have a few to still finish, get those done now, get your center done now, so that when we come back together, we can begin finishing the outer part of the quilt. This is an amazing quilt by Prayer Designs, and I'm so excited to be doing it with all you. Okay, so we're going to be joining our skinny strips of our fabric number 2, as you can see across the top of all of these, to our fabric number 5. I'm going to sew it to fabric number 6 now. Oh, and I should point out, some of your strips, following your cutting instructions here, some of them you'll need 6 of the strip cuts, and some of them you're only going to need 2 of the strip cuts. So we don't necessarily have equal parts and pieces, and that's why I was able to leave fabric 6 aside and have some 6 left here. So yes, we have more of 5 and more of 6, and then we're going to have color 7 and color 8 joined with our fabric number 2 as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just pull my pins out. I like to use these straight pins with numbers for reference as I'm going. I want to make sure my iron's going to be nice and hot here. I'm going to now, just using my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I also just put up a video recently, folks, on how to get a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance when you go from machine to machine. It's a really cool sewing technique I've learned recently, and I think you'll all enjoy it. And so I have actually set this machine to that marker now, and I've got a really nice accurate 1/4 inch going. Edge guide, nice slow pace. And I'm just going to go ahead and stitch both layers together. And this is done with all of our colors that we have cut for this month. Make sure you stay accurate all the way to the end by lining up that corner and letting that fabric sew through accurately there. Okay, and now we're going to sub-cut these down into 2.5-inch wide strips. But I always like to iron first. And in these ones, because we're not going to be really nesting, I actually did take the time to iron up into the lighter fabric because it's just sometimes easier when you have a small piece versus a big piece of fabric. Okay, and now let me show you my trick for accuracy with these, because one of the things, even though I had to cover up the precision part of my shirt, I'm still passionate about making a nice quilt. And so with this, we are going to trim 2.5-inch square rectangles down now, but I want to use both this seam allowance as a real true line and my outside. So even though we did a nice job cutting and preparing, I'm still going to really quickly true down my first cut. So I'm lining up a big solid line on the seam allowance I just made, and I'm going to cut off roughly 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. And I can say that because I know I'm going to be able to get the 8 strips I need as I go across here. Now we're looking for 2.5 inches, and I actually like to use a dotted line when I can because it's a little thinner, a little easier to see, and make sure I'm right along the edge of that fabric as we're going. Okay, so now what we just need to do for the rest of this month is come through and lining up our parallel and our perpendicular lines, cut 8 of these 2.5-inch strip sets, or I should say now units from the strip sets, and we're gonna set them aside. I'll be back for next month, and we're basically gonna do a very similar activity with some wider strips to make up our groupings that will then organize, and in next month's video, we'll actually build out all the piano keys too. It was really hard for me, folks, to not sew along in front of you because you know I have the master instructions here as I'm going, but I felt like it would be really important that you understand that at this point right now, you really are not making a block this month. You're not making any further units than just these because we're going to need to combine them. But we are going to have a very organized fashion, and we're going to be building kind of right-hand and left-handed sides. So what I would like you to do is make sure that you keep all of your fabrics labeled. It's just going to make things very easy for the rest of the sew out. All right, let's get this last strip finished out here and make sure we have the 8 necessary. Okay, 2, 4, 6. I had them stacked. I panicked for a second. Did you panic? I panicked. And there's the 8. Okay, so wonderful. Like I said, you're going to have a little bit left over if you're using some of the kits from us here at Stitchin Heaven. Oh, and folks, now that I know where we're at in the month series, I didn't realize this. We've just released Arabella for another go about. You can now sign up for Arabella Block of the Month, and these videos, of course, are on YouTube, so they're free, so they'll be available all next year as well. It'll start January of 2025, and of course, we've got a bunch of other awesome Wing and a Prayer designed block of the months that we do constantly, but this specific Arabella with these beautiful fabrics and the wonderful tutorials month by month, it's just been released. It is on the Stitchin Heaven website under January block of the months, and we would love to have you participate. I know many of you, based on the comments that have come in, were really hoping to do this and didn't get a chance to, so now it is your chance. Go ahead and sign up for Arabella block of the month starting all over again in 2025 January. But before that, I will see you next month with part 2. So this is instead of saying stay well, I'm just going to say ... to be continued. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. It really helps support our channel. If you haven't subscribed, do so now. Hit the little button to be notified every time we go live or do a new video for all of you. And here's one from the past I think you'll really enjoy.